Last episode, we learned how to fly these majestic birds. This time, let's talk combat. We'll start with MGs. Most of helis can have those as both primary and secondary armaments. There are amazing 6-barrel miniguns, fearsome 4-barrel Yak-B rotary cannons, and even the successors of the glorious MG-42, the MG-3s. With calibers ranging from 7.62 to 12.7 millimeters and penetration rates staying somewhere between 10 and 22 millimeters, machine guns aren't that great at dealing with ground targets. Yeah, sometimes it'll be enough to get that IFV or an SPAAG, but in most cases you'll use these guns to fight other helicopters. A few bursts and a chopper goes down, just like that. Cannons boast bigger calibers and, consequently, better penetration rates. While 20mm guns still can't provide you with consistent eliminations, 30mm cannons that punch through 65mm of steel already can. They allow you to consistently pierce tank roofs. They aren't the most well-protected part of a tank after all. Not to mention that SPAAGs become very easy prey for your mighty guns. It's a double-edged sword, though. You have to get pretty close to them to land hits, which makes you very vulnerable to ground fire as well. A few shots from these beauties will destroy both a helicopter and an enemy plane. No one is safe when you're around. Then there are bombs. Keep in mind that at the moment only Soviet helis can use them, and there aren't many of them to begin with. FAB-100, FAB-250, OFAB-250, and that's it right now, with FAB-500s coming in pretty soon. The current undisputed bomb champion of War Thunder helis is the Mi-4. It can carry 6 of them. Then comes the Mi-24 that carries 4. That's a lot of damage that you can deal. There are a few things to consider, though. First, helis don't get those fancy bomb sights, which means that you won't be able to hit your targets from high altitudes. Second, it's quite easy to be caught in a blast when you're flying low, so consider having at least 1 second delay on your bombs. Third, you will be a pretty easy target during a bombing run. Now for the main course. The self-propelled munitions known as rockets and missiles. The former are usually carried in containers and launched in volleys. Missiles, on the other hand, are basically AGTMs we all know and love. You fire them one at a time, but you have the control over their flight path. These two types of self-propelled munitions have their own quirks. For instance, most unguided rockets, with the exception of maybe the S-24, don't have much explosive matter in them, from 300 grams to 1 kilogram at most. Most of them have heat warheads, which means that in many cases it won't be enough just to penetrate enemy armor. You also have to hit something valuable with the jet, so you might need to score several hits to eliminate a target. ATGMs aren't perfect either. Their flight speed is notoriously low, and while you guide a missile, you can become easy prey to enemy attacks. Okay, that's it for weapons. Let's speak tactics. To start with, let's outline our strengths and weaknesses. We produce a lot of noise, aren't that fast, and as a general rule don't have much armor. On the flip side, helis are very maneuverable, carry powerful weaponry, and are capable of capturing zones. The first thing to consider is what armaments to pick. Our capabilities depend on that. Just remember that on most choppers you get access to ATGMs only after you score a few points, so your starting options will most likely consist of MGs, cannons, bombs, and rockets. The first two are pretty straightforward. You spawn in, spot an enemy helicopter, and destroy it. If you know where the enemy light vehicles are, you can try wrecking them as well. There are a few viable strategies here. The first is to stay really low and in the back of things, engaging enemy choppers and ground vehicles from the rear. The second is somewhat simpler. You get a bit higher than enemy helis, and then bring them down when they try to fly by. Just be wary of enemy planes. There won't be much pressure the first few minutes of the match, but then watch your back and cling to the ground. We've discussed bombs already, so let's jump straight to rockets. Don't forget that they aren't built for precision and in most cases have heat warheads. Stay at between 100 and 200 meters. That's the optimal height for you. Find yourself a good position, choose a target, or a group of targets for that matter. Go in for the elimination and then swerve the hell out of there. The retaliation fire is no joke. Rockets are great for clearing large groups of enemy vehicles, especially if they are on a point. It makes it hard to miss, and you also get bigger rewards. Just remember about your penetration rates and try to hit their roofs and sides. Unguided rockets can be employed at higher altitudes as well. Get to between 600 and 800 meters, and then go for a dive. Aim for the roofs. There isn't much armor there, and you'll be able to destroy an enemy with only a couple of hits. When it comes to the use of ATGMs, combat awareness is king. Sometimes your biggest concern will be enemy aviation or SPAAGs. Sometimes you'll be bothered by other helicopters. In the latter scenario, get to 1,000 meters and shoot all your missiles one after another. Try to move in at least one plane while guiding a missile. It won't affect your accuracy that much, but will make it significantly harder for your opponents to return fire. If the sky is occupied by enemy fighters and the land is littered with enemy SPAAGs, there is still a way to salvage this. Cling to the ground and use every natural barrier you can find to cover your retreat. Get 2 or 3 kilometers away from the front line and find yourself any kind of natural shelter. Get out the safe zone only to get your missile flying. Fire! Get back into safety. Get an elimination. Change position. Rinse and repeat. In general, when playing with ATGMs, it pays to stay in the corners of the map and never get in the range of tank guns. What strategies work for you? Share your experiences in the comments below.